begin the news with Iran criticizing Trump's reckless nuclear deal remarks. Philippines agency urges charges against VP Sarah Duterte. North Korea slams Trump's Gaza plan as slaughter and robbery. China says U.S. naval patrol in Taiwan Strait a security risk. And Ecuador's Noboa questions first-round election results. Stay with me for this more series. Iran's representative to the United Nations has denounced the reckless and inflammatory statement made by United States President Donald Trump, threatening the use of force and cautioned that any act of aggression will have dire consequences. Iran's United Nations ambassador Amir Saeed Aravani, in a letter to the United Nations Security Council on Tuesday, referred to remarks made by Trump in media interviews in which the U.S. leader suggested stopping Iran from developing nuclear weapons could be achieved either with bombs or with a written piece of paper. Trump's newest threat came amid renewed tensions after he reinstated his maximum pressure policy against Iran over concerns the country was seeking to develop nuclear weapons. In his letter to the United Nations Security Council, Aravani opposed against what he labeled as Trump's deeply alarming and irresponsible remarks. Aravani stated in the letter published said, "This reckless and inflammatory statement flagrantly violate international law and the United Nations Charter, particularly Article 2, subsection 4, which prohibits threats or use of force against sovereign states." He further cautioned that any act of aggression will have severe consequences for which the United States will bear full responsibility. Tehran maintained its nuclear program is exclusively for peaceful aims and denies any intention to develop nuclear weapons. During Trump's first term, which ended in 2021, he withdrew from a landmark deal that had enforced curbs on Iran's nuclear program in return for sanctions relief. Tehran continued to adhere to the deal known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action until a year after Washington, D.C. pulled out, but then began rolling back its commitments. It has also accelerated the enrichment of uranium to up to 60% purity, close to the approximately 90% weapons-grade level, the United Nations nuclear watchdog chief said in December. Efforts to resuscitate the 2015 deal during the Biden administration faltered. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Friday said there should not be any negotiations with U.S. after Trump suggested striking a verified nuclear peace agreement with Iran. On judicial matters, the Philippines National Bureau of Investigation (NBI) has commended the criminal charges being filed against Vice President Sara Duterte over allegations she threatened to have President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assassinated. The NBI director, James Santiago, said in a statement on Wednesday, "We have finally recommended the filing of inciting to sedition and grave threats against the vice president. We have submitted this to the Department of Justice and they will weigh the evidence, whether they will conduct a preliminary investigation in the matter," he added. While speaking through her media officer, Duterte simply said the NBI's decision was as expected. Duterte, the daughter of ex-President Rodrigo Duterte, a divisive figure known for his bombastic rhetoric and deadly war on drugs during his 6-year rule from 2016 to 2022, is embroiled in a long-running row with her former ally, President Marcos. The pair achieved a landslide victory in the country's 2022 national elections after joining together as running mates, but their powerful families have conflicted in the years since, accusing one another without providing evidence of drug abuse. Duterte in June also stepped down from her role as Education Secretary, a post she held along with the Vice President, saying she felt used by Marcos. As Vice President, she remains Marcos' constitutional successor in the event he is unable to complete his term. The case against Duterte stems from comments she made in November suggesting she had ordered someone to kill Marcos along with his wife and cousin, the parliament speaker, if any potential plot to assassinate her should be successful. Marcos, the son of former Philippine strongman President Ferdinand Marcos, who ruled the country from 1965 to 1986, promised to act against the troubling public threat made against him by his vice president. Duterte later described her instruction as a plan without flesh and stressed that the major conditions of her plan was that she be killed first. Duterte is also facing a separate probe over her alleged misuse of millions of dollars worth of government funds while serving as vice president and Education Minister. Last week, the Philippine lower house impeached Duterte over the assassination threat as well as charges of violation of the Constitution and corruption. Meanwhile, reports from North Korea has accused the U.S. of slaughter and robbery over President Donald Trump's proposed plan to occupy the Gaza Strip and expel its population of over 2 million Palestinians. The world is now boiling like a porridge pot over the U.S.'s bombshell declaration, report said in a commentary published on Wednesday in which Trump was not explicitly named. The White House's Gaza proposal was indication of the U.S.'s hegemonic, invasive ambition for world dominance, it said. Reporters who call the U.S. a ferocious robber over the Trump administration's calls to take over the Panama Canal and Greenland, as well as its decision to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. North Korea has been an outspoken critic of the situation in Gaza, criticizing Israel for its ruthless massacre of Palestinians and calling the U.S. an accomplice to its crimes. In an interview on Monday, Trump confirmed that his proposal for the mass displacement of over 2 million people from Gaza will not include a right for Palestinians to return to their land. In that interview, Trump also reiterated his desire to own the war-ravaged Palestinian territory, which he has said he will transform into the Riviera of the Middle East. He also has pressured Egypt and Jordan to take in Gaza's population after his planned eviction, a proposal both countries have firmly rejected. Trump's assertion that he is seeking the permanent displacement of Gaza's population contradicts recent comments by his aides, who previously presented the plan as a rebuilding effort that will allow residents to eventually return. Human rights groups have condemned the step as tantamount to ethnic cleansing. It is yet to be seen how the sometimes rocky, occasionally warm relationship between Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will play out during the U.S.'s president's second term. On February 7th, Trump said that his administration will have ties with North Korea, adding that he gets along with them very well. Trump met with Kim on 3 separate occasions during his first term in office. China's military has accused the United States of engaging in risky behavior in the Taiwan Strait after 2 U.S. naval ships transited the international waterway. The Chinese People's Liberation Army (PLA) said it had authorized and scrutinized the movement of the USS Ralph Johnson, a naval destroyer, and the USNS Botwich, a survey ship, as they moved through the waterway between Monday and Wednesday. The Eastern Theater Command of the PLA said in a statement on Wednesday, the U.S. action sends the wrong signals and increases security risks. Troops in the theater are on high alert at all times and are resolute in defending national sovereignty and security, as well as regional peace and stability. Eastern Theater spokesperson Colonel Li Ji said. The U.S. Navy later confirmed the movement of the 2 vessels through the strait, which they described as routine exercises. The transit occurred through a corridor in the Taiwan Strait that is beyond any coastal state's territorial seas, said Navy Commander Matthew Comer, a spokesperson at the U.S. military's Indo-Pacific Command. Taiwan's Defense Ministry also said they had monitored the patrol, but it had proceeded as normal. U.S. naval ships frequently conduct freedom of navigation drills through the 180 kilometers wide, 111 miles Taiwan Strait, although the Navy's patrol this week was the first of its kind since U.S. President Donald Trump took office in January 20th. China claims the Taiwan Strait as domestic territory, although the United Nations law of the sea caps territorial waters at 12 nautical miles, that's 22 kilometers from the coastline. U.S. allies also occasionally take part in similar navigation drills through the Taiwan Strait. The last 2 confirmed missions by the U.S. Navy were an air patrol in November and a joint patrol of the strait in October by U.S. and Canadian naval ships. Naval ships from France, the Netherlands, and Japan's Self-Defense Force also passed through the strait last year. China also claims sovereignty over Taiwan, a self-governed democracy of 23 million people, in addition to the Taiwan Strait. On Wednesday, Zhu Fenglian, spokesperson for China's Taiwan Affairs Office, described the island as a core interest. China has promised to annex Taiwan by 2047 by peace or by force and sends almost daily air and naval incursions in the direction of the island. Known as Green Zone activity, these tactics are planned to intimidate Taiwan and test its defense capability. Since 2022, Beijing has regularly staged military exercises in the Taiwan Strait to signal its anger at Taipei for engaging in high-level meetings with U.S. officials. Talking electoral matters, Daniel Noboa, Ecuadorian president, has cast doubt on the outcome of the country's recent presidential race, saying the first round results seem to show irregularities. Noboa on Tuesday stated skepticism about the results, though he failed to offer proof of any malfeasance. But independent election observers quickly fired back that there seemed to be no discrepancies with the voting tally. The Organization of American States (OAS) sent a mission to observe Sunday's election. It said its data confirmed the official results within a margin of error. The OAS wrote in a statement that the mission to date has not identified or received indications of widespread irregularities that could alter the results of the election. At the same time, it invites any complaints to be filed with the relevant authorities. Another election transparency group sent by the European Union responded with a similar statement. Gabriel Mato, a member of the European Parliament involved in Ecuador's election monitoring, said, "We do not have a single objective element that there was any type of fraud." Mato noted that both Noboa and his left-wing rival, Luisa Gonzalez, had expressed reservations about the accuracy of the results. The first round of voting ended with the two candidates in a virtual tie, each receiving approximately 44% of the ballots. That meant they will proceed to a runoff. For more stories, and in Africa, Goma camp residents fear as M23 rebels order evacuation. On Tuesday, the sounds of hammering and the clattering of corrugated metal roofs resonated throughout Goma's Belango camp for internally displaced persons as residents started taking apart the shelters they had occupied for years. They reported that the M23 rebels, allegedly supported by Rwanda, passed through the camp on Saturday and ordered them to leave within 3 days. M23 had seized control of Goma just weeks prior, a major city in eastern Congo that has long been a haven for those escaping ongoing violence. Camps in and around Goma house hundreds of thousands of displaced individuals, several of whom have fled conflict many times throughout their lives. Simbomani Safari, a former resident of the Bulengo camp, walked through the area burdened by the weight of his belongings on his back. However, the future for those already in a vulnerable position remained uncertain. The eastern provinces of North Kivu and South Kivu already hosted over 4 million displaced individuals prior to the M23 takeover of Goma. Onekori, an emergency coordinator for Doctors Without Borders in Goma, stated concern over the rapid movement of people leaving the camps and questioned where will they go. Let's take a breather now. When we come back, stories from Nigeria. Please don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. We continue with stories from politics. Ganduje urges Northerners to drop 2027 presidential bid. Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress (APC), has advised Northern politicians nursing presidential ambition for 2027 general poll to discard the idea, as incumbent President Bola Tinubu will serve 2 terms in office. Ganduje gave the advice in Abuja on Tuesday when he played host to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Media Center, PBAT Media Center, and Tinubu Northern Youth Forum TNYF at the APC National Secretariat. He said anybody daydreaming that the presidency will return to the North in 2027 should wake up from his or her slumbers. That will not be possible. The leader of the PBAT Media Center and the special assistant to the president on social media, Olusegun Dada, earlier said members of the center were set to correct all the wrong narratives against the Tinubu administration. For his part, Awal Ibrahim, the national coordinator of TNYF, said his group has perfected plans to deliver 5 million votes to the president in 2027 presidential poll. Central Bank of Nigeria stops free ATM withdrawals, implement new charges. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has declared a review of transaction fees for automated teller machines, ATMs, across the country. The review effectively eliminates the 3 free monthly withdrawals earlier granted to customers using other banks' ATMs. This was revealed in a circular signed by the Acting Director of the Financial Policy and Regulation Department, John Onoja, on Tuesday and applies to all banks and financial institutions operating in Nigeria and is set to take effect from March 1st, 2025. The review targets to tackle rising operational costs and enhance efficiency within the banking sector, according to the Apex Bank. The most major change is the total removal of the former policy that allowed bank customers 3 free monthly withdrawals on ATMs belonging to other banks. This means that every withdrawal on another bank's ATM will now attract a charge. The CBN cited increasing cost and the need to enhance ATM efficiency as the primary reasons for the review. The regulator expected this adjustment to accelerate the deployment of ATMs across Nigeria, while making sure that financial institutions appropriately charge customers for the service. Here are major changes under the recent CBN review. On US transactions that same bank's ATM, customers withdrawing from their own bank's ATM will continue to enjoy free withdrawals. Not on US transactions as other banks' ATMs. On site ATMs within bank premises, a fee of 100 naira per 20,000 naira withdrawals will apply. Off-site ATMs that outside bank premises, a fee of 100 naira per 20,000 naira withdrawals plus an additional surcharge of up to 500 naira will be charged. International withdrawals, the charge will be based on the exact amount imposed by the international acquirer. And finally, on the news, reps urged FG to stop planned telecom tariff hike. The House of Representatives has asked Dr. Buson Tijani, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, and the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) to halt the impending surge in telecommunications tariffs until this service improves. These follow the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by the member representing Yenagoa, Kokolokuma, and Opokuma Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State, Honorable Obuku of 4G, on Tuesday at plenary. Moving the motion of 4G noted that speaking after a stakeholders meeting with mobile network operators in Abuja on January 8, 2025, Tijani revealed that telecommunication tariffs will soon surge. He quoted the minister to have said consultations were ongoing as there had been anxieties from some of these companies to add tariffs to as high as 100%, adding, however, that it will not be a 100% increase and that the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) will approve the latest tariffs and announce them in due course. The lawmaker said the argument of the telecommunications companies for the rise includes the cost of investment, better networks, increase in demand for digital services across sectors such as education, banking and healthcare, amongst others. 4G expressed worry that the National Association of Telecom Subscribers has rejected the proposed increase in tariffs, describing it as insensitive and a further burden on consumers already grappling with economic hardship and poor network service delivery. It is imperative that the telecommunications companies improve on their service delivery that's poor network, which Nigerians have been yearning for in years before embarking on the increase in their tariffs. He also stated concern that the far-reaching effects of this price hikes will deepen financial tussles for the average Nigerian, threaten the country's vision of leveraging technology to drive economic revival, exacerbate poverty, and broaden existing inequalities, hitting lower-income families the hardest. To refresh your memories, Iran criticizes Trump's reckless nuclear deal remarks. Philippines agency urges charges against VP Sarah Duterte. North Korea slams Trump's Gaza plan as slaughter robbery. China says U.S. naval patrol in Taiwan Strait a security risk. And Ecuador's Noboa questions first round election results. And that's all in the news. Till next time, have a blessed day.